AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. It's 5 o'clock. Quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. As I understand it, the SEC leadership, we're going to go to Ross Jackson in just a second. The SEC leadership is, I don't know if they've adjourned yet for the day, but we're keeping an eye on this. I do believe they will at some point release a statement after today's meetings, and apparently it's not going in LSU's favor. What that means, I don't know, but we'll be on the lookout for that. If it does break here while we're on air, we'll certainly talk about it. But again, as we sort of clear the deck and understand, there are the 16 football players that were granted an injunction last week in a Baton Rouge courtroom. They were granted a TRO, temporary restraining order. Their preliminary injunction hearing is Monday. The Big Ten has announced a new rule today whereby players cannot go from the NFL back into the Big Ten. If they do, the coach could be suspended for half the season, and the institution could be levied a fine. I don't know what the SEC is planning, so we'll wait and see what it is. But I do think we're going to hear something possibly as early as this evening, maybe imminently. So if I find out more, we'll certainly pass it along. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for being here with us. Ross Jackson. Good enough to hang out with us. Yo, man, how are you?
Hey, dude, doing great. Thanks for having me.
You're going to get sick of talking to me.
No, not at all.
Saints are going to start their season, and you're going to be like, thank God I don't have to go on with that guy every day anymore.
No, I'm going to get at 5 p.m., and I'm just going to stare at my phone every day waiting and hoping that you guys call me.
Why isn't Musso calling me?
What's going on? I'm going to be texting him all the time. Why aren't you calling me?
I'm available. Okay, today, 2 players on season-ending IR. Let's give everybody the deets.
Yeah, so 2 knee injuries, one of which was a little bit of a surprise. Ty Chandler seemed to finish the game up against the Los Angeles Rams, but then wasn't on the practice field on Monday, and then ends up now going to season-ending IR. So, look, sometimes adrenaline gets the best out of players, and they stay on the field despite an injury and things like that. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe it's not. Maybe it wasn't something that maybe was bothering him then, but started bothering him after the fact. That happened with Julian Blackmon, first game of the year last year. Everything, it was a labrum injury, not a knee injury, but could be something like that. But Maliki Matsaval, he also went to injured reserve, and he took a pretty bad shot to the knee during that game. So that one looked not pretty as it was, but it wasn't a non-contact situation. It was, something that could have been avoidable with maybe, I don't know, better tackling, I guess. I'm not sure. But in any case, both of those guys ended up going to injured reserve. And those are guys that were making a play for potential roster spots, especially Maliki Matsaval, who was coming off of the practice squad and kind of looked like one of the guys in line to go from practice squad to active roster. And so a disappointing end for both of those guys before the season even gets going. But running back position is something that the Saints recently addressed. tight end position is a very deep room, so they'll continue to see what they have and options at both of those positions.
Okay, so it's certainly disappointing there. The Saints were back on the practice field today. However, what'd they do?
Yeah, it was a little bit more of an active day today than it was yesterday, since yesterday was just a walkthrough. Today was kind of going through more situational moments. They worked some actual live drills, and by live I mean the ball and chains moved, not tackling or anything, but they put together some drives. They worked on kind of drive starters. They focused on kind of first down, second down, third down with fourth down available situations, things like that. And so kind of working some of the situations that gave them problems during the game against the Rams, and being able to get in and out of the huddle, and not having any penalties, doing so cleanly, things like that. They were pretty clean all throughout on both sides of the football throughout this practice, and so that seemed to be the big focus on their work.
Ross Jackson's with us at Ross Jackson Nola. If you want to give him a follow, you can read him at louisianasports.net. You can always listen or watch Locked On Saints. As they move through this final week of the preseason, I know Kellen Moore met with reporters. Ross, are we expected to see any more from the starters this week?
That is a decision that the Saints are going to make before tomorrow night's practice at Tulane. I would imagine that you're probably going to see some starters in that final game. That's how they handled it last year. Offensive starters played about 16 snaps, right around there, with some exceptions, right? Guys rotating at heavy rotational positions. And then defensively around 20 some odd snaps, similar situation there with some heavier rotational situations in there too. But I think that there's some value in getting their starters out there and giving them the exposure and kind of getting into rhythm. Obviously, the injury risk is very real, especially with the amount of injuries this team has dealt with over the course of the season. But I do think that there's value in getting the starters out there. I would be a little bit surprised if we didn't see the starters, but that's not to say that we won't, or that we certainly will, right? So they're going to make that decision, though, before they go into the Ullman Stadium practice tomorrow. And so we'll be able to get a clear answer on that tomorrow night. That
night practice at Ullman is always a pretty cool scene with the fans there. And it is one of the really genuinely cool things about the preseason. What should fans go into that practice or afterwards looking at the reports be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, I think you're looking for, obviously, the team stay healthy. I think that's a big one. At this point, you're also hoping that Chris Olave is out on the field. Chris Olave left a little early from practice in today's practice, but the kind of positive update from Kellen Moore was that he just got the wind knocked out of him. And so ideally, with the wind knocked out of him, you're back on the practice field the next day. And so it could be a sign of them just trying to take it very easy with him and saying okay, we know what we need to know about you, kind of a situation. But certainly, you want to see him out on the practice field, at least around. And then I think outside of that, I think that it's watching the Saints rushing attack it's a very different rushing attack this year than it was last year. A little bit more zone heavy, a little bit more outside heavy, a little bit more expansive in that way, though not specifically that like it was back in 2024, where it was almost all outside of the tackles. Mm-hmm. But the Saints rushing attack feels like it's expanded quite a bit. I think that can be fun for fans to watch. And then, guys like Chase Young and Carl Granderson just continue to have really incredible camps. They were great again today. And so I think that's going to be a lot of fun for fans to watch. And then maybe a three-way kicking competition between Charlie Smith, Tanner Brown, and then the addition of Daniel Carlson.
I am sure, Ross, at some point, I don't know this, I'm assuming, that you're going to put out a roster projection. What do you think are going to be your toughest position battle decisions to make as you hammer that out?
Yeah, I think the interior of the defensive line is challenging now that some of the obvious answers aren't there, right? Brian Brzee and his injury, John Ridgway has been out for a little while now. And so I think that's going to be a little bit tough. And there's been a lot of guys like Christian Boyd, for instance, who maybe might have been left off of a roster earlier on in the season or in the offseason who has done really well for himself to earn a roster spot this season. So I think that's going to be one. I think tight end just got a little bit more complicated because it felt like the Saints were on their way to keeping 4 on the roster. They might only keep 3 now. And so where does that extra roster spot go? I think that's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, quarterback is going to be interesting as well because we've seen positives on both sides of this thing when it comes to that one, whether it be training camp or preseason. I think those are probably going to be the hardest ones. Everything else, though, feels like the team's pretty set at this point. And really it's just kind of building out the depth. And so that's where, some hits and misses are going to happen in terms of, who ends up making the roster, who doesn't make the roster. And so obviously there's going to be some consideration there. But I think for the most part, this roster is pretty clear.
All right, he's Ross Jackson, at Ross Jackson NOLA. If you want to give him a follow, Locked On Saints podcast, get it on YouTube or on podcast for free. And, of course, you can read him over at LouisianaSports.net. Always great to visit. Thanks for the time, man.
Thank you, buddy. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. It's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We are brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com, with locations all over South Louisiana. Name brand tires at wholesale prices. They treat you like family, which keeps you coming back. They're just the best over at Shawbills. Mr. Charlie opened up back in 1968. They are coming up on their 60th anniversary here in a couple of years. I love that. But you know, one of the other things, man, I love telling you about when you look at Shawbills, the way that they treat their customers, how they go the extra mile. Like, for example, August, you may not know this, August is brake safety month. So if you stop by Shawbills, you get a free brake inspection and $30 off per axle on brake pad replacement and rotor service with the code WEB, W-E-B. That's the code WEB. So you can schedule your service today over at Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. It's a web special only, so make sure you go check it out on their Facebook page, and you can see it right there. Take advantage of brake safety month there at August at Shawbills, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Thanks for being here with us. If you missed the open of the show today, I did my dead level best to try to break down as simplistically as I can exactly what has transpired here over the last 2 weeks, where it feels like it's LSU against everyone. The thing that continues to perplex me, and we'll wait and see what comes of this SEC leadership meeting with the presidents, and as I start to get a few things leaking out of there, it kind of feels like it didn't go well for LSU. Well, I don't know what that means. We'll see what that means. I'm expecting the SEC will release a statement tonight at some point with whatever their decision is. And what that means, the next course of action will be, I don't know. But the thing that for me is fascinating is so much of the focus has been on LSU, and I understand why, because LSU is a big brand and Lane Kiffin is a lightning rod. But Texas welcomed back Cole Hudson, an offensive lineman who had been in camp with the Browns and the Cowboys. He's back at Texas now. We told you earlier today, Arkansas added a player that was part of the injunction in Louisiana last week. Arkansas added to their roster. It extends beyond football. You know, Missouri has added Mark Mitchell, who played at Kentucky a year ago, went pro, came back, and now he's entered the portal, and he's committed to Missouri. So this is far from like just an LSU Lane Kiffin thing. Lane was on McAfee earlier today and talked about Dae'Quan Wright and said there were many schools, including SEC schools, that were heavily recruiting Dae'Quan Wright, who picked LSU, and that makes sense, to join the offense where he had so much success a year ago with Kiffin and Charlie Weiss. So, you know, we'll see what the SEC decides as a product of this. But I would assume that whatever the SEC decides, the real question, like the complicating factor, is Monday. Because if these players go to court on Monday and win their injunction, their preliminary injunction, well, does that override NCAA and potentially SEC rule? Remains to be seen. But if you want to catch any of that conversation, you can catch it on demand. AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Okay, it's After Further Review. By the way, the doors open in 45 minutes over at the PMAC for the celebration of life for Skip Bertman. Ceremony begins at 7 p.m. Again, doors at 6, celebration at 7 there at the Maravich Center. Let me knock out a quick break. Speaking of Dae'Quan Wright, he did give an interview to WMAZ television. First public comments from any of these players who were granted their TRO and then committed to LSU. So you'll hear from Dae'Quan Wright next on AFR.
After Further Review.
I love telling you about Duplessis Pools because if you've ever thought of putting in a pool, Duplessis Pools can make that dream a reality, and they make it so seamless. Listen, I say it often, like there's a lot of pool companies that'll build you a beautiful pool. And that's true, just like the quote-unquote Instagrammable pools. Lots of companies do that, and Duplessis is no exception. They'll build you a beautiful pool. The differentiator, of course, is they're going to build you a beautiful pool that lasts. That's why they offer the 10-year workmanship warranty. But also, they make the process so easy at Duplessis Pools. Like, go to the website, duplessispools.com. On the homepage, there's Pick Your Pool. Select that. There's 11 different pool designs. Choose whichever one you want. And then you can start to design your pool. Like, there's a whole list of features that you can just, at the tap of a button, boom, it instantly adds that feature in 3D real time. You want to add a spa, you want to add lights, you want to add a water wall, coping, decking, tiling. It's all there. Check it out at duplessispools.com. duplessispools.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Tractor sexy, it really turns her on. She's always staring at me.
It is kind of crazy. I try not to let it bother me too much, but I know, like, I be on social media, so it's like I'm gonna see it. People's gonna send it to me, bring it up. But I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I don't really think too much of it. Like, I mean, hey, if they want something to talk about, they got something to talk about. So it's all good to me.
That is LSU tight end commitment, Dae'Quan Wright, in an interview with WMAZ television, talking about seeing his name all over national news. Dae'Quan Wright did today clear waivers. So remember the story, the Cleveland Browns waived Dae'Quan Wright. He cleared waivers, meaning he's a free agent, so he's not signing to a practice squad anywhere or signing on anywhere else. He is committed to rejoining LSU. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, wanted to confirm that. The seeming last hurdle to clear is what's going to happen with the conference, provided on Monday that Wright and the other 32 college athletes are granted their preliminary injunction. I got a text from Nathan into the show. He said, Matt, sorry if you already covered this. He said, my question is, how far is LSU willing to take this? Going to war with the SEC? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is there any other sort of possible resolution? So, Nathan, it's a really good question, and it's a very thoughtful question. I like the way he posed it. And there's two parts of that, but there's one important clarification. LSU is not going to war with the SEC. I know it seems that way. And I know that's what the public perception is. But LSU is not the plaintiff in this lawsuit. It's the 33 student athletes. Now, did they have help? Maybe some guidance from LSU counsel? Probably. I'm not stupid. I'm not naive. Yes. But LSU isn't suing the NCAA. And LSU, in turn, wouldn't be suing the SEC. LSU isn't going to war with the SEC. Now, LSU's leadership may stand in opposition of some of the rest of the league with how to proceed. It's worth noting, Pete Golding on Monday. Can we play this, please? Pete Golding on Monday was basically said the same thing Lane Kiffin did.
I think this one's unique based on the timing of things, kind of like we talked about in the last press conference. Is, all right, here were the guidelines in which you were responsible for managing a roster, and there's numbers and there's specific things that obviously you got to do to put yourself in a position to win. So I think from the very beginning, some of these guys that have become available to the outside looking in don't always fit a need, all right, where we're at. And that's kind of what I said last week. It was like, from an injury component, there are things that you've had some banged up spots to where obviously if this is what we're going to do and this is what everybody's doing, within the framework of college football, then there's certain spots that obviously we would have interest in too. And there are certain spots to where we filled with really good players that have gone through a spring and gone through a summer and done everything the right way, that obviously there's not a need there. I'm not going to get into my feelings of what I think it does for the sport. I don't think we got enough time right now to do all that type of stuff. But I think all of us obviously have a responsibility to our current roster, and then there's a responsibility in the chair that you're in also to produce a really good football team.
I mean, Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding and Ryan Day are all publicly saying the same thing. Like, you can tell they're all saying the same thing. they all acknowledge it's weird and icky and the timing and all, it's uncomfortable, while also recognizing if you got players that are eligible and you got a position of need, you owe it to your team, your roster, the chair you're in, as he put it, to go put the best team out there. So there's the other part of the question that Nathan asked. There was the one part about LSU going to the war with the SEC. LSU isn't going to war with the SEC. These players are suing the NCAA for an injunction. And I'm just talking legalities, okay? I'm not giving you an opinion. I'll always give you an opinion, but I'm just talking functionally what's happening here. So if the players win their injunction on Monday, that overrides the NCAA. If the SEC steps up and does something similar to what the Big Ten did today, and by the way, I do not know what that is. The Big Ten today passed a rule which says if you bring one of those players back, I'm paraphrasing, but you bring one of those players back, coach can be suspended for half the season and will fine the institution. Okay, that's going to get a lot of people's attention. Like, coaches don't want to be suspended for half the season. So, and I don't know that that's what the SEC can or would do. But if that does happen, would the players then file suit against the league? Maybe. And LSU's position, like you heard Lane Kiffin say it today. Can you play Kiffin again on McAfee? This was Kiffin on McAfee when he was talking about injunctions and like following injunctions.
So all court orders have been followed. So I think you're going to get in a really interesting situation if now, as a conference, you start to say, well, we're not going to follow this court order that's been issued. And we're going to say that these kids that the court says can go anywhere, we're going to say, no, you can't. That's some issues there, Pat.
Lane saying, you're setting precedent right now and picking and choosing which ones you like, which ones you don't like. That's going to be a fascinating story as you set a precedent here against.
Doesn't work like that, Pat. You can't decide, hey, I like that injunction. I don't like that one. Like that player I kind of like, and I like the way that they got him eligible. And so we're going to follow those rules, but not these. That really doesn't work that way.
So where he started there was, let me finish my point. It's pretty clear when you listen to Lane that LSU's approach is and is going to be, we're going to follow the court order. Whatever the court says, we're going to follow that. So if the court makes the players eligible, we're going to play the players. If the court says the players are ineligible, then we're not going to play the players. That's what I surmise listening to Lane and talking to people within the LSU athletic and university administration. Like, that's going to be their approach. LSU is saying, we're going to follow the court order. So these players got a TRO, we're going to take them. If the players get the injunction on Monday, we're going to take them. If the players don't get the injunction on Monday, they're not going to take them. But then that begs the question, if on Monday the players don't get the injunction, do they then go sue the sue the SEC? Maybe. I don't know. Which goes to the other point that Nathan asked, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, how far are you willing to take it? And, there's two different factors that have to answer that question. One is the student athlete. The answer for the student athlete is obvious. Of course it is. Because look at all the student athletes that have gone to court to try to gain eligibility. Why did Trinidad Chambliss embellish a medical story when he had tonsillitis, and the NCAA time and again denied his appeal for a medical waiver? Time and again, the NCAA said no. And then he went to court. Why? Because he's going to make $6 million this year at Ole Miss. Wouldn't you? If there was $6 million on the line? I'm not saying I agree with the decision, but I get it from the player's perspective. So from the player's perspective, yeah, the juice is worth the squeeze. And if you're LSU at this point, what their approach is very clearly is they'll accept the court order, whatever the court order is. And so if the players keep going and they get eligible, then LSU's going to play them. How far are the players willing to take it? It's worth it for them. Is it worth it for LSU? I don't know. But, whenever you look at LSU and the relationship with the SEC as far as that goes in this instance, that's kind of it's tough. Like, that's kind of the really tricky part in this one. Is there any other sort of possible resolution? And barring the players just walking away, like, I don't think there is. Now, the other part of it, it's what I've said all along, which is the adults in the room could stand up and say, I don't care if you have a court order. We're not playing you. Because a school doesn't have to admit that student athlete to their school, and they certainly don't have to let them play on their football team. Like, there's no God-given right. There's no law saying you have to admit this person to school and play them on your football team. You can say, you do what Dan Lanning said. Dan Lanning said yesterday, point blank, we're not interested in that. So they're not recruiting any of these guys. Legally, they could, but they're not. So LSU could take the same approach and say, yes, you got a court order. You're eligible. We're not interested. We're not playing you. They're clearly not willing to do that. And someone with a strong understanding of the legal proceedings involved here surmise that the school could then potentially face legal proceedings from the player if they deny that player access. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's one of the arguments I heard from someone with a deep legal background and understanding of these proceedings. So, look, man, LSU's going to play Clemson a week from Saturday. My feeling all along has been they keep going to court to get these players this injunction. I think it's always felt like they're going to get the injunction, and if they have the injunction, then LSU's going to play these players. But the SEC, it's pretty clear at this point, is staunchly standing in the way of letting that happen. I got a little derailed there because I wanted to let you hear from Dae'Quan Wright, but with the SEC president's meeting adjourning and apparently not going well for LSU, had that question. I thought it was interesting to at least go that route. It's after further review. We are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. It's 93 degrees right now. It's 5:30 in the evening. It's 93 degrees. Heat index triple digits. You know what that means? It means your AC's churning. It means your energy bills are going up. You want to know a way to keep those energy bills low? Invest in your home with energy-efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows. It's easy, y'all. They'll come out, they'll measure twice, install once, every window custom-made for the exact specifications of your home. They're energy-efficient windows. They do a very cool test where you could see they'll put a lamp above a regular glass pane window in their energy-efficient window and a thermostat underneath it, so you can see the temperature difference between the two. So you reduce the costly air leaks. You have energy-efficient windows. It'll cool your home, make your home more energy-efficient, lower your energy bills, and it'll increase your home's resale value. It's Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah. They do shutters, too, and roller shades. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, it's after further review. Jimmy's going to be here in about 15 minutes for Otter Locks, so stick around for that. Dae'Quan Wright did talk about his process, when he decided to return for a fifth year, what he wants to get out of a fifth year, all that sort of stuff. We will let you hear from Dae'Quan Wright when we come back. My apologies. I got a little derailed right there. We'll do that as we continue on AFR.
After further review.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, where right now the Get Gordon Billboard Design Contest is going on. Go to getgordon.com/billboards. 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 Love it. Submit your billboard design, and you can win up to $2,000 in prizes, courtesy of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. There's an adult division and a children's division. Submit your designs. You can win up to $2,000 in prizes. Get creative. No AI. Get creative. No AI. And not only could you win the prizes, but you'd see your billboard actually on the side of the road on the interstate. That's really cool as well. It's the Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys Billboard Design Contest. Got to submit by September the 20th. So we're inside of a month, but you got a little time. So get those creative juices flowing and get Gordon. GetGordon.com/billboards. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She likes the way it's pulling while we're tilling up the land. She's even kind of crazy about my farmer's tale.
Dae'Quan Wright did an interview with WMAZ Television, his first public comments since committing to LSU, and kind of went through the process and talked about when he considered returning for a fifth year.
Like after our college season was over, like last season, I really had no intentions of coming back for another year. Like I was hearing about it, like it was little things out there, of people talking about it, but it was never just set in stone. So you never really knew. So my focus was just the NFL. So really not until a couple weeks ago when they actually brought it back up again and actually passed it. That's when I was okay, now I'm just looking at the situation I'm in. And if I can go back another year, then it would be very helpful and beneficial to me.
The one thing that I wonder about these NFL guys, and I've heard Hester and Flynn talk about it on Off the Bench, and I believe they're right. I mean, they obviously played in the NFL. They would know far better than me from firsthand experience. But if you follow the NFL, I think you know this to be true as well, just on the periphery. Even just look at the Brendan Sorsby situation. Brendan Sorsby thought he was going to go into the supplemental draft and go in the NFL, and the NFL was no, we're good. They don't need Brendan Sorsby. And so I look at Dae'Quan Wright and some of these other guys, Xavier Harris, potentially Jack Pyburn. If they come back to college and then next year want to go back to the NFL, does the NFL blacklist them? Oh, we're good. The NFL doesn't need Dae'Quan Wright. The NFL doesn't need Xavier Harris. The NFL doesn't need Jack Pyburn or any of these guys. It may long-term be a detriment for the short-term gain of making some money for one more year in college. But then again, that may be more money than they ever would have made in the NFL if they don't make a roster. But Wright did talk about what he wants to get out of his fifth year.
Really just want to just make the best of this opportunity that I get, because it's definitely a blessing. Nobody really knew this was going to happen. So definitely just make the best of the opportunity and just show how much I've grown, not just as an athlete, as a person and as a leader. So yeah, I just want to do that for real. And just finish my career knowing that I just gave everything I had and there are no regrets after this.
And one more, again, is Dae'Quan Wright, former Ole Miss receiver who is committed currently to LSU. Talked about this whole situation potentially leading to just a better overall process and structure in college football.
See it continue to evolve, but also just have better structure. Because some people, a lot of people want to put the blame on us athletes, but it's also bad timing within the people that are giving us the fifth year. It's just bad timing by them. If they were going to pass this, they should have did it a long time ago. They should have did it earlier this year instead of letting people get two teams to where it is looking oh, now you're just leaving the team going back to college and stuff like that. So really just better structure of it.
That's certainly the argument. So we'll wait and see. Again, the SEC leadership met today. It's a 2-day meeting in Birmingham that was previously scheduled. It was already scheduled, and they were expected to discuss self-governance. But all of this conversation sort of overtook that meeting. As I understand, I referenced it earlier, Dr. Roos flew to Birmingham today to take part in these meetings. He is flying back to be at the Skip Bertman Celebration of Life this evening at the Maravich Center, and then we'll be going back to Birmingham. I do expect that the SEC is going to release a statement based on whatever might have been discussed today or into tomorrow, so we'll wait to see what the league says. But general feeling was that it was not going in LSU's favor in this respect, or the players, so we'll see. All right, it is after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Jimmy just texted me. He's at he's at the Maravich Center for skip surf, so he will not be joining us on the show. We'll run through auto locks. They are posted over at LouisianaSports.net. Hey, real quick, let me let's give a shout out to Todd Graves and the Raising Cane's. So they're celebrating 30 years of Raising Cane's. They opened their doors in 1996 at what they call the Mothership, the original location on Highland through the north gates of LSU. And today they had an invite-only appearance by Todd at the Mothership to sort of tour members of the media through not only the restaurant, but also through what is now a pop-up museum. So it was pretty incredible. I think a lot of people know the story of Cane's, and we're obviously in the Raising Cane's studio, but that they opened the original location. Todd opened the original location right there through the north gates of LSU, and there was an apartment sort of in the little building behind it above Raising Cane's where he lived. It was sort of the office and everything like that. Well, they have preserved that, the apartment Todd lived in, the offices, all that sort of stuff, and they've turned it into the bottom floor into a museum, the timeline of Cane's and a lot of memorabilia like Todd's hard hat when he was a Boilermaker. And this is the most incredible thing. They actually, oh, by the way, this guy made this cake. Look at this cake. He's from Baltimore. He did a 30-year anniversary cake. Go full screen. That's the cake. The briefcase at the bottom, the hard hat, the fish, the Cane's meal, like all that is a cake. It's incredible how he built it out. He said he put about 50 hours into making this cake. It's unbelievable.
How is that balancing?
I have no idea.
That's incredible.
It's on my Twitter. If you want to go see it, I'll put it on Instagram as well, but you go see it. It's incredible art. But the most incredible thing, I haven't shared a picture of it yet. I have it on my phone. That I need to redo it. I'll put it up there. So you know the story about how Todd worked on a fishing boat in Alaska, right? We all know that story by now.
Yeah.
So to get the money for Cane's and all, the CEO found the boat.
The actual boat.
The actual flipping boat that Todd fished on. It's called the Sally Mae. Hang on, I have a picture of it. Hang on, I'm going to tell you exactly.
Well, that's cool.
The Margaret May.
Margaret May.
The Margaret May.
Maggie May.
So tracked down the boat, which was no longer in use from his 30-year-old boat. Sam, anyway, tracked down the boat, bought it, gave it to Todd. It's over at the Mothership. So if you go tour the museum, and it's free, I think it's only going to be open for a month. Like it's a pop-up. So you can go through the whole deal, and you can see the freaking boat that Todd Graves fished on in Alaska.
That's crazy.
Like legit crazy.
They should just park that in the parking lot at Mothership. Just have it there.
And it might, whatever. But anyway, so y'all get on by Cane's. Again, I don't know what time of day it's open, but it's free. And so they turn the building behind Cane's into a Cane's museum. You can walk through. I got to do it earlier. So I got to walk through the timeline of Cane's, a lot of Todd's stuff. You can see the office, how it was, whatever, all that. So really cool, man. Congrats to Todd Graves in 30 years. Incredible. He and his family have been awesome. They're the pillars in this community. And they continue to live here despite the fact that he's a godzillionaire. I mean, he talks about the people in Baton Rouge being home, and his friends are here, and he loves popping into restaurants and knowing his people. It's a great story. I mean, it's an amazing story. But freaking guy hangs out with Snoop and Leo DiCaprio. He lives in Baton Rouge. He loves it here. So I love that, man. So congrats to Todd and all the folks over at Cane's celebrating 30 years. Again, go check out the pop-up museum. I'm sure they'll have it on social media and all. Cane's when you can pop into the Mothership and see the museum, like what hours it's open and everything like that. But it's free, so go check it out. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Let's knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back, and we'll do Otter Locks on AFR.
AFR.
REV, Rev Fiber. RevFiber.com, RevFiber.com. Rev, the official internet service provider of LSU Athletics. RevFiber.com, REV, RevFiber.com. Man, I love telling you about Rev because they're a great local business. One of the things that I love to get to do here is talk about great local businesses and great local business owners and operators. Of course, you know Trustee Leindecker, who's a great friend and been great to us. And look, whenever Rev laid fiber in our neighborhood, I mean, Eric and I switched immediately to Rev, and they've been outstanding. Internet, home automation, security, cable, phone, if you have all that. So not only for your home, but for your office as well. So, I mean, look at Parrish, construction and roofing. We're Rev customers as well. So you want to save on your bottom line every month on all that expense at your business? Rev Fiber. RevFiber.com. RevFiber.com. We're brought to you by River Parish Contractors, rpcontractors.com. rpcontractors.com. It's River Parish Contractors. They had a record-setting Q1 this year. They're 25 years in business, by the way. Opened their doors back in 2001. Record-setting Q1, record-setting Q2. They're on pace for a record-setting Q3. That's because, well, when you keep winning contracts and you keep having tons of work, you keep setting records. And right now, it means you need people. They're hiring a diesel mechanic right now at River Parish Contractors. You want to learn more about that job or any of their openings? Go to the careers page at rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com. The other thing it means is they're going to keep you busy. You know, some companies, like, they may keep you employed for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. At River Parish Contractors, they got tons of work and they need you. You want to work overtime as much as you want, they got it. And great benefits and great people. And you're home every night with your family. River Parish Contractors, rpcontractors.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. As always, big shout out to our friends over at Sunshine. If you want a Deere, bunky and below, there's only one place you're going. You're going to Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Proud partner of LSU Athletics. We always get to Otter Locks. Jimmy is over at the Celebration of Life for Skip Bertman. Doors opening here in about 10 minutes from right now at the Maravich Center. As a matter of fact, I was looking. I knew they were doing this, which was a great idea. I think it might have been Michael Papajohn's idea. I hope I didn't get that wrong. But I saw a video where I think Jacques posted the video of Ronnie Rance handing out pieces of rope. Yeah, here it is. So in honor, obviously, of Hold the Rope, which was Skip's sort of saying, and they went and bought and cut thousands of pieces of rope to hand out to everyone that was going to the Celebration of Life tonight. So there's Jacques posted the video of Ronnie Rance handing out the little pieces of rope to people as they come in. So a really, really awesome thing. And, you know, look, you got an hour. Would highly recommend if you could get on by the Maravich Center tonight. It's one of those once in a lifetime things. You know, Skip gave us all so much, so many memories, reasons to cheer. LSU, by and large, is what it is today because of Skip. I mean, not only the 5 baseball national titles, you know, what the baseball program is, but his time as athletic director. And we had Nick Saban on a few Fridays ago when Skip passed, and I mean, he said it better than I could. You know, facilities at LSU were not good. Skip implemented the Tradition Fund, which allowed LSU to raise money, to bond it, to be able to build all the facilities, which has helped set LSU up for what it has become over the last quarter century. So it's a great opportunity to show the family, former players, those that knew and loved Skip like all of us did, a fitting farewell. As I understand it, Lori Bertman is going to speak tonight. Bill Franquez, of course, is going to MC. Who else? I believe Ben McDonald is going to speak. Jay Johnson's going to speak tonight. I'm not sure who else, but it'd be a great way to honor Skip. I know at 6 o'clock, whenever the doors were set to open, they were going to play the Hold the Rope documentary inside of the Maravich Center for everybody to watch as the former player gathering at the Maravich Center underneath and what they call the dungeon underneath. They were meeting from 4:30 to 6:30, and then they were going to process in for the Celebration of Life, which will start at 7. So hopefully a fitting and worthy farewell to Skip Bertman tonight there at the Maravich Center. So get on by if you can. right, it is After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We always wrap up the show with Otter Locks. We'll do that in a second. I'll remind you about Arco Power Systems, ARCCO. Arco.com, Arco.com. Remember, this is Industrial Generac Generator Power. That's Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com. No matter where you are, they're based in Baton Rouge, but north to Little Rock, east to Mobile, west to San Antonio, draw a giant circle. If you have a business, an industrial, a commercial facility in that circle, you ask yourself the question, when the power goes out, what happens to your business? Arco. Everything's turnkey. Sell, service, install, rent your Generac Industrial Generator. It's Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com, Arco.com. Okay, the SEC has released their statement, fitting like here as we're going off the air. I figured this was going to happen. Very quickly, following the meetings with the presidents and chancellors, the SEC will enforce the following. An institution is not permitted to have an athlete on its rosters previously declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA draft. So this involves Will Wade's basketball program as well. Signed a contract with an NFL or other professional football league, NBA, G League, or WNBA or affiliate team, or been listed on an NFL or other professional football league, NBA, G League, or WNBA or affiliate roster. The commissioner is authorized to enforce this expectation with penalties against member institutions. So it does not say what the penalties are, but this statement from the SEC would prohibit any of those athletes from playing at LSU or any of these any member institutions. The question now is, okay, what do the players do? Do the players seek action against the SEC? Whew. Buckle up.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, we remind you about FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU athletics. As we gear up for a football season right around the bend, of course, the Lake will be there and their amazing medical team and staff to care for the Tigers. But that same great care that's available to the Tigers is available to everyday champions like you and me. I'll tell you about my personal health journey all along. And as a member of the Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Clinic, Dr. Kurt Chastain, Dr. Tyler Boudreau, Dr. Oscar Schoenfeld, that group, that's my primary care physician. Like when I was having appendicitis, I drove myself to Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health. And then Dr. Boudreau was like, we take you to the ER. Wheeled me over to the lake. They got me in. Dr. Mo performed my surgery. Awesome. If it's emergency care, if it's heart, stroke, cancer, pediatrics, I trust the lake. FMOLhealth.org/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar.